trapped within a loop, going round and round. He questions if he's free or a slave of time. He has nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. Has he lost his purpose, or has the whole world turned blind? He questions night and day. He wants to escape from this jail, go to a place where no one can find. He cannot decide whether he wants to die or ride, whether he wants to laugh or keep crying. But with little hope in his heart, he's still fighting and keep trying. He looks up and sees a dark sky, but the moon is still bright with its light, shining upon his face, which makes him smile. And the wind whispered in his ears, "You don't have to fear. You can decide whether you want to crawl or fly." This is how I express myself. I see poetry as a reflection of myself in words. About 3 years, I came to Canada to pursue my university education. I was a new member in the new environment, surrounded by a community of about 60,000 students. Since English is not my first language, I found very hard to communicate with people and build relationships. My daily schedule was going to classes, library, come back home, and spend the rest of the day with myself. 2 months had passed, and still I could not see myself in this new society. I started to question my abilities and question myself. I went through depression. There was a point when I decided to quit university and go back home. Those were the nights when he felt lonely. When he started to question himself slowly, is it me only to feel lonely? He was empty and alone. He felt he doesn't belong to this world anymore. He was exhausted of trying. He spent the night and day crying, singing sorrowful songs while he was dying. He knocked at the door of his heart, but silence answered. He tried to feel his own presence and question his own existence. In comparison to the whole cosmos, he felt non-existent. He questioned again, does it really matter my existence? I am like a drop in the ocean, non-existent. Seasons changed and summer came. I got introduced to Rumi, a Persian Sufi mystic. This was the starting point, or an enlightening experience, if I could call. I started reading Rumi's poetry. It was my first time reading or enjoy reading poetry. Never before I enjoyed reading as much as I did at that time. There was a certain magic in his writing. It was different. I felt I could relate to it. I felt it had the answers to my questions. I was totally absorbed by Rumi's writing. I fell in love with his idea of love. I found it incredible how Rumi expressed profound ideas in simple yet deep poetic rhymes. It changed my perspective of looking at things. Later on, I started writing, but I never tried to write even a single line. Everything came on naturally, because everything was based on my personal experience. Whatever I felt, whatever I experienced, whatever I saw, I expressed it through words. I found it hard to convey my understanding about things to my friends, but it was easier to express it through words, since there were no one to judge about it, since there were no one to question about it. That was freedom. I could cry and scream without making any noise. I could laugh and dance with joy, and no one would know about it. This was the power of writing. Poetry became a way for me to escape from my loneliness. Whenever I felt sad, I turned towards poetry. Day by day, I became more and more connected with words. And I genuinely believe if it wasn't Rumi, I would have never developed that deep connection and love with poetry and nature. Poetry did not only heal me from inside, but it also taught me how to listen to my inner self. And how by listening to your inner self can become a way for you to move through life and provide you hope in the most darkest moments of your life. Seasons changed and fall came, bringing with itself wind and colors, changing the leaves from green to red and red to green by starting a fresh new beginning. He also started act according to nature. Leave what had gone and embrace what was coming. He was born to be free. His dream had faded away, but his love and his love was shipwrecked, which was lost in the sea. He was still looking for answers. One day, he sat down and closed his eyes. He felt a mysterious presence inside. He asked, "Who are you?" A silent voice whispered inside, "I am you." His thoughts and confusions were nothing but vain. Since then, he became free again. This was the story of the boy who was trapped in his own thoughts, who was questioning his own existence, who was looking for answers. This is how he found the purpose of his own life, through poetry. Thank you.